Hello, everybody. Today I'm speaking to Markus, who is he's a change agent for digital transformation. Welcome, Markus, and thank you very much for your time. I'm looking forward to our discussion. I would like to ask you this question that has been driving me crazy. Digital transformation in Germany is taking such a slow path, and why is that?
Well, I think there's maybe an easy reason for that, because we have to talk about it's a long journey. It's not only a project for 2 months or 1 month, it's really a long journey. And the other thing is that most of the, let me say, companies or people I'm in touch with are focusing on the technology only. And I think we have to see the whole approach, like people which are the core of everything, and then the processes and the technology, the famous triangle.
Mm-hmm. But I was reading your research and it says that Germany actually is doing relatively well in terms of human capital in comparison to other countries in Europe. And when you ask an entrepreneur who perhaps moved after the UAE to Germany, they would say, oh, it's very slow. It's just very slow compared to the UAE. You don't really think about that when you're dealing with a country like Germany, well advanced, extremely rich, et cetera, et cetera. So what exactly is the strategy when it comes to a whole country trying to move in towards digital transformation? And then later on, I'll ask you about companies, but I'm quite curious about that.
Well, when we see it on the national level, as you know, the Germans have a lot of regulations and a lot of bureaucracies. And so this also blocks a lot. And this is a fact. Well, the regulations are wonderful, but in a step where you have to move, let me say, fast. To be competitive and innovative to the whole world. So you have to drop down some regulations, in my opinion, because it's mostly blocking.
Right. Let's now move towards companies and AI, everybody talks about it. Digital transformation, everybody talks about it. There are these macro huge mega companies that can actually easily, move into it. And there are smaller companies that cannot really. And my question is, how do you advise companies to actually incorporate digital transformation within their value chain to actually dribble down to the employee to make them part of it?
Well, I think it's a really detailed change management process. When you see, let me say, I like Professor John Kotter, who is teaching in Harvard and is famous for change management. And he wrote some books also in so many different languages, simple books to understand, and also very academic books for sure. But I think the most important, the reason is really to focus on the people and the change management processes, so that you make clear, well, here in Germany, we say it's 5 minutes to 12. We have to act, and there is a need to act, and you have to communicate. So communication is also a core process in the whole change management area and the whole transformation area. And there are some steps which are really nicely described by John Kotter to follow these 8 steps in a series, and not start in step 3 and then go back to 1 and whatever. No, you have to be seriously there, and then you catch the people and you have one mission in the company, and this is so essential for everything regarding the digital transformation journey.
Right. And who decides the digital transformation journey?
Well, the thing is also a very good question, Omnia, because the issue is that also the organizational development in a company has to be future oriented. So, for example, the job role or job function of a digital transformation officer is so important, and also not the title only, but also that he is responsible for a budget, and then you can start this journey. And many companies started with this, but some years ago it was a nightmare, to be honest.
Right. I'm going to go with a very basic question. What is digital transformation? Let's start with that.
Well, let me say, start with the transfer with the word transformation only, because a company, or let me say also a nation, has to be competitive and innovative in the nowadays and also in the future. So it's crystal clear that there is a lot of pressure to go more, let me say, in the digital transformation. So digital is not only talking about, well, we can write apps and we have these and these and these on a technology base. Again, we have to put the people in the center, and then optimize their, let me say, processes. And finally, we have to think about additional or new business models,
Right.
because this is required when we start a transformation. Why should we do this? What is in for us? What is the value? And you talked about the value chains or the supply chains, which has to be in line also to the OEM, like let me say the automotive industry, like Mercedes-Benz or General Motors and so on. And you can adapt it also to other sectors.
Right. What is the role of human resources in ensuring that they get the right digital transformation officer to actually lead the company to a to 2024?
Yes, right. Yeah, when you look on the HR department, this is also a department which will be transformed, like the marketing department and like the sales department, who were the heroes of the company, but now they have to see that they also have to do transformation. And to find the right people, I think one is for sure the actual skills, the education, and so on. But mostly, I recommend please search for people who have use cases, and not only reading books and the theory, know that they have use cases. I just got yesterday a wonderful use case from Nigeria, where you don't think about digital transformation and these industrial Internet of Things and so on. No, they are doing this and they have wonderful use cases. And this is so important, that people who lead this transformation or the digital transformation process, that they have use cases which the people understand and which they are able to communicate and build, let me say, the business value and the business model out of that.
Right. Are there companies till today who are not within the bandwagon of digital transformation?
Yes, I think yes. They still try to avoid it and say, well, everything is fine with us, and we don't want to do it. So to be honest, sometimes I have to say they are right, because too much digital maybe can also hinder a company. And we have the situation actually that nations, for example, Sweden is talking about, we had done too much digitalization, because it's overwhelming the people, and yeah, it's always, let me say, you have to see this from company to company or from nation to nation. What is our total, or let me say, yeah, total objective finally?
But that's why we have strategies, right? That's why there are strategies where companies
Yes.
should actually focus on that.
Right.
What makes then a good strategy? Like, what makes this particular strategy good for the company to actually move on with transformation? And when is it a problem actually to move forward with transformation?
Well, the part here is what is the right strategy. So I have to look on my business, and always step in the shoes that I like to understand what is the expectations of my customer in 3, 4, 5 years. And I start with this. And so what I want to share with you is really to be customer centric. And if I understand what is the strategy of my customer, for example, then when I'm doing B2B, for example, so then I can see what I have to do in my company. So I have to see, I start looking 3 years into the future. And then I have to look what are my partners, for example, actually, and what are the necessary partners in the future. Then I come to the business models, then I come to the processes, then I come to the skills of my company. So it's like a flow where I can start again looking in the future, and then the next step, next step, next step.
Right. Yes. I just want to build on that, is that McKinsey published a report last year and said that for every dollar that you actually spend on transformation or digital solution, plan to spend at least another dollar on implementing the process, and even user training and change management. It's a very costly process. Which brings me to my favorite question in general. That creates digital divide, right? You have these companies that can actually move forward with this kind of digital transformation, and nations that can do it and others who cannot. What happens? Are we jeopardizing human capital? What's the cost here? Should we just keep continuing as it seems like in the world we're continuing regardless? What do you think is the solution?
It depends, to be honest. I'm a friend of, let me say, the famous wording, starting small but thinking big. And this is also a part of the change management process, that you generate small success stories, really small success story that the people see, wow, this is working, it helps me and it supports me, I'm in the boat. And so this is one thing I really like to share, not spending millions and hundreds of millions, because when you look on the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises, they are not able to do this. And even if you look on the big companies or corporations, so, well, maybe they can spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 millions and whatever, but they have also to see the outcome or the impact finally. So I'm a friend to say, well, okay, we start to produce small success stories and use cases. Finally, it's touchable and not wonderful PowerPoints with strategy and whatever. I think you know all these these wonderful PowerPoints. So this doesn't help the people who should implement. It's a vision, wonderful, but if we have to implement, we have to do overseeable things, and where we can say, okay, now let me say it on that way, we have a party and clap the hands, we achieved something.
Right.
And it makes the people proud.
Right. That brings me to my final question. So me as Omnia, how can I digital transform? Me as just an individual, how can I be part of this process? How can individuals be part of it? Let's say they work at a company that does not have the vision or the resources to actually grow in terms of digital. How can they do it?
I think very simple. Because again, you have to see a small success, only a small success. For example, you can read a lot with let me say, artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things and big data and cloud and whatever. But you have to feel it. What does it mean, even in a small world of an individual? So how can I make benefit when I'm using the cloud technology? And I have to exercise it, and you need a good trainer or coach who is able to show you the things on a very simple way, where you say, wow, now I'm proud of myself and I reach something and I'm moving in my transformation path. Right. I'm doing this actually, for example, with an individual in Tunisia. And then she's very happy because she sees, well, this helps me a lot. And I think this is the point. It has to help you, and not that you have, let me say, a wonderful Apple equipment or whatever are the names. No, it has to help you that you are proud how this works easily for me.
Right. I do. It's something that's just crossed my mind, and I promise last question. But you worked in Egypt and you worked in different countries, and you also work in Germany at the moment. And my question for you is, what are the common challenges that you would have between all these countries, or all the companies who are functioning within these countries face when it comes to digital transformation?
Well, it's always the education part. So that, let me say, people are educated well with the theory, this is necessary, but also with practical implementations, like a fab lab or things like that, that they are able to see it and to touch it, and to make some little programs, for example, when you come to the technology, but they see it. And they have to be guided through this way.
Right.
It's always the same story. You get a lot of buzzwords are crossing around the world, but if you ask the people, what does it mean? Mostly it's, and it becomes very theory, and so what does this help yourself, and also the small companies, and also the big companies.
Marcus, thank you very much for your time. This was very useful. But again, why is Germany slow with digital transformation?
The regulations. It's not, let me say, the intelligence of people.
Regulations.
I think it's the regulations and the bureaucracy, and we have to overcome this because the train is running fast.
Right. Thank you very much for your time. It's my pleasure speaking with you. Have a lovely day.
I have to thank you. Have a lovely day too, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye, Marcus. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.